What if Superman was a narcissistic psychopath? What if the Avengers worked for a corporation that cared more about profit than saving lives? What if the most powerful beings on the planet were the most dangerous people alive? That's The Boys, and 5 seasons in, this show has never been more relevant, more brutal, or more brilliant. Today, we're breaking down the entire series, what makes it genius, where it stumbled, and whether Season 5 is giving it the ending it deserves. Let's get into it. For anyone who hasn't watched, The Boys is an Amazon Prime Video series based on the comic book by Garth Ennis and Derek Robertson, created for TV by Eric Kripke, the same man behind Supernatural. The premise is simple and genius. In this world, superheroes exist, but they're owned by a powerful corporation called Vought International. They're not saviors, they're celebrities, carefully branded, heavily marketed, and completely corrupt. The Seven, Vaught's most elite superhero team, is led by Homelander. Think Superman, American flag on his chest, laser eyes, practically indestructible, except he's a deeply disturbed, dangerously unstable man-child who craves public worship like oxygen. On the other side, a ragtag group of ordinary people called the Boys, led by Billy Butcher, a ruthless, foul-mouthed Brit with a personal vendetta against Homelander. Their mission? Bring down the Supes, with no powers, no corporate backing, and absolutely no plan. What follows is 5 seasons of the most violent, darkest, funniest, and most politically sharp television of the last decade. Season 1 of The Boys is as close to a perfect first season of television as you'll find, and it all starts with one of the most shocking pilot moments in TV history. Huey Campbell, an ordinary, sweet, slightly nerdy guy, is standing on a street corner with his girlfriend Robin. They're happy, they're in love, and then A-Train, the fastest man alive, runs through her at full speed, literally through her. She is gone in an instant, and Huey is left standing there, holding her hands. That's it. That's all that's left. In that one scene, The Boys tells you exactly what kind of show this is. Superheroes aren't careful here. They aren't gentle. They're powerful beyond comprehension and completely above accountability. Season 1 builds its world brilliantly. Every character gets a clear motivation. Huey wants justice. Butcher wants revenge. Starlight, a genuinely good young hero joining the Seven, slowly realizes the institution she idolized is rotten to its core. And Homelander, played by Anthony Starr in what is genuinely one of the greatest villain performances in television history, begins to reveal just how terrifying he is beneath the smile. Season 1 is tight, focused, and absolutely gripping from start to finish. Season 2 deepens everything Season 1 built. The stakes get bigger, the conspiracy gets darker, and Homelander becomes genuinely terrifying as his grip on reality starts to loosen. The show also introduces Stormfront and uses her storyline to say something genuinely important about how fascism hides behind charisma and branding. But Season 3? Season 3 might be the most purely entertaining season of the entire show, because it gives us Soldier Boy. Jensen Ackles plays Soldier Boy, America's original superhero, thawed out after decades in Soviet captivity. A man so of his era, so casually cruel, so brilliantly written that he immediately becomes one of the best characters in the entire series. Season 3 is explosive, hilarious, and emotionally devastating in equal measure. The Herogasm episode alone is one of the most insane hours of television ever made. By the end of Season 3, The Boys had established itself as one of the greatest shows of its generation. And then came Season 4. And this is where we need to be honest. Season 4 is not bad television, but it is the weakest season of The Boys, and the reasons are worth understanding. The show introduced Sister Sage, the smartest person in the world, as Homelander's new weapon. A fascinating concept on paper, but the execution felt uneven. Some characters spent entire episodes spinning their wheels. The pacing dragged in places where Season 1 would have been relentless. Critics called it the most polarizing season yet, and they weren't wrong. Season 4 felt like a show that had so much to say about the real world that it sometimes forgot to tell its story. The political commentary, always one of The Boys' greatest strengths, started to feel like it was shouting rather than whispering. But here's the thing. Season 4 ended with a seismic shift. Homelander doesn't just win, he takes over the entire country. America falls. And suddenly, the show had the setup for the most important final season it could possibly tell.
Season 5 premiered on April 8th, 2026, and based on everything we've seen so far, this is the show firing on all cylinders one last time. The world of The Boys has never been darker. Homelander has won. He controls Vought, he controls the government, and he's running detention camps for anyone who opposes him. Starlight is now public enemy number 1, and Billy Butcher, who survived V poisoning only to develop tentacle powers, is leading one last desperate mission to bring it all down. The central mission this season: find V1, the original Compound V formula, before Homelander does. Because if Homelander gets it, he becomes completely immune to the one thing that could stop him. The new additions are electric. Daveed Diggs plays O-Father, a megachurch evangelist soup who is equal parts terrifying and hilarious. Soldier Boy is back as a series regular, and his complicated father-son dynamic with Homelander is exactly the kind of storytelling this show does better than anyone. And the satire, sharper than ever. There's a propaganda video in episode 3 that is so close to real-world events it is genuinely unsettling. That line between fiction and reality that The Boys has always walked, it has never felt thinner. 3 episodes in, Season 5 feels like a show that knows exactly how to end. Critics are already calling it one of the best seasons yet. With a 98% on Rotten Tomatoes from early reviews, The Boys is going out swinging. Let's talk about the performances, because this cast deserves every award they haven't been given. Carl Urban as Billy Butcher is one of the great TV performances of this era. He plays a man who is genuinely capable of monstrous things, and somehow makes you root for him anyway. Every season, he gives you something new to wrestle with. Jack Quaid as Huey is the emotional heart of the show. He's the audience surrogate, the ordinary person asking what any of us would ask. His journey from grieving boyfriend to resistance fighter is one of the best character arcs on television. Erin Moriarty as Starlight is criminally underrated. She carries the moral weight of the entire show. In a series full of moral compromise, she's the one character who keeps fighting to be genuinely good, and the show makes that incredibly hard for her. And then there is Anthony Starr as Homelander. There are no words strong enough. He has created one of the greatest television villains ever put on screen. Every smile is a threat. Every moment of vulnerability is more dangerous than his rage. He is extraordinary.
So here is my final verdict on The Boys as a complete series. This is the most important superhero story of our generation. Not because of the action, not because of the shock value, though there is plenty of that, but because it asks a question that no Marvel or DC film has ever had the courage to ask properly. What happens when the most powerful people alive are accountable to no one? We live in a world where that question isn't hypothetical anymore, and The Boys has been answering it loudly, brutally, and brilliantly for 5 seasons. Does it stumble sometimes? Yes. Is Season 4 as good as Season 1? No. But the ceiling of the show, when it's operating at its peak, is as high as television gets. My overall score for The Boys as a complete series, 9 out of 10. One of the greatest shows of its era, and if Season 5 sticks the landing, it might just be the most important finale television has seen in years. New episodes drop every Wednesday on Amazon Prime Video. If you're not watching, start now. And if you are watching, drop your Season 5 thoughts in the comments. I want to know everything. Subscribe for weekly breakdowns, because we've got a lot more coming. See you in the next one. So here is my final verdict on The Boys as a complete series. This is the most important superhero story of our generation. Not because of the action, not because of the shock value, though there is plenty of that, but because it asks a question that no Marvel or DC film has ever had the courage to ask properly. What happens when the most powerful people alive are accountable to no one? We live in a world where that question isn't hypothetical anymore, and The Boys has been answering it loudly, brutally, and brilliantly for 5 seasons. Does it stumble sometimes? Yes. Is Season 4 as good as Season 1? No. But the ceiling of the show, when it's operating at its peak, is as high as television gets. My overall score for The Boys as a complete series, 9 out of 10. One of the greatest shows of its era. And if Season 5 sticks the landing, it might just be the most important finale television has seen in years. New episodes drop every Wednesday on Amazon Prime Video. If you're not watching, start now. And if you are watching, drop your Season 5 thoughts in the comments. I want to know everything. Subscribe for weekly breakdowns because we've got a lot more coming. See you in the next one.